Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joe Stunner Boxing. Before I go any further, on my T-shirt, can I just point out, because there's often confusion, this is Michelangelo's statue of David. It's not Gareth A. Davies, okay? Easy mistake to make, both, prime examples of maleness, but we have to ask ourselves, is it right to drag the statue of David up to Gareth's level? I don't think so. Anyway, I'll stop talking bollocks and let's talk about Lauren Price taking on Natasha Jonas. We're talking about potentially a changing of the guard here. And this is for all the belts? WBA included, WBC, WBO, IBF. Whatever it is, it's basically for pretty much all the marbles and bragging rights in Britain. We're talking about welterweights. Natasha Jonas, a decade older, or near as damn it, a decade. She turned 40, I think she might have done. Lauren Price, 30. Natasha, very much a veteran. Miss GB, was an Olympian, just like Lauren. Didn't win a medal, whereas Lauren did. But very much, kind of a fantastic story, really, for Natasha, because she turned pro. I think she was with Matchroom for a while. She wasn't really getting anywhere. She suffered a very bad early defeat to back in 2018 to Vivian Obernerf. And if you don't know the backstory of Vivian Obernerf, Google it, because it's very, very interesting. Yeah, I think she might be in prison now for quite a while, but let's put it that way. But she got stopped in 4 rounds, Natasha did, to Vivian. Then she came back, had a few little runarounds against average girls, drew with Terry Harper. I thought she won that fight. Then she lost a very competitive fight to Katie Taylor. The Harper fight was at super feather. The Taylor fight was at lightweight. And you were thinking, she's kind of going to be one of those, nearly girls. Do you know what I mean? And then she came back, and again, rebuilt under the banner of Boxer. She signed with Boxer and Ben Shalom. And I've got to be honest, this is, Ben Shalom and Boxer get a lot of heat. But to be honest with you, this is a real success story for Boxer, because they suddenly, Natasha was jumping up a few weight divisions all the way up to light middleweight or super welterweight, all the way up from lightweight. And you're thinking, well, she's obviously not a super welterweight at all. No, she wasn't. She looked much smaller than she was, than their opponents. But nevertheless, she started winning belts, WBO, WBC. She was defending them. I think she picked up the IBF at one point as well. She was beating girls like Patricia Bergelt, who was undefeated at the time. Marie-Eve Decaire, I think that's her name. Is she? I think she's Canadian. I could be wrong about that. She beat her. She was 18-1 coming in. Then she had a good old tear up with Candy White, who'd seen better days, and then she got a very close, I think, rather controversial decision over Michaela Mayer. I thought Mayer won that fight. Looking at Mayer's career, I would say she's unbeaten, because I thought she beat Baumgardner as well. But the Candy White fight was a drop down to welterweight. So she's won belts, several of them, many of them, in different weight divisions. Welterweight, initially super welterweight, then she went back down to welterweight. And now she takes on a woman who is a Olympic medalist, Lauren Price of Wales, 8 fights, that's all she's had, 2 KOs, as opposed to Natasha, who is 16-2-1. And she's Lauren is looking just about as in her prime years as a fighter can look. Last time out, she fought an undefeated but very much an untested girl called Bexy Mateus. Knocked her out in 3 rounds, had her on the floor, I think, in every round. The girl was completely out of her depth. But it was the manner in which Lauren got her work done. She was really clinical. And for a girl with 8 fights, she beat Jessica McCaskill. McCaskill has seen better days. She was another one of those fighters who's been around the block many times, lots of miles on the clock, and he's getting a bit old. But Lauren won a unanimous, I think it was a 9-round unanimous technical decision or something like that. I know she won most of the rounds anyway. I think she might have whitewashed her, come to think of it. I can't remember Jessica winning a single round. Jessica McCaskill, if you've seen her before, you'll know that she's a wild swinger. I mean, a real wild, tough, sort of ragged type of fighter who'll give you hell if you let her. And to be honest, Lauren has been brought on, even though she doesn't fight that often. She turned pro in 2022, 8 fights. But she really does look like she's in her prime, and ready to go. She's a southpaw, as is Natasha. So they're kind of going to negate each other. You probably won't get a lot of treading on each other's feet, which often happens when you get the opposing stances. The question, I suppose, is: does Natasha have enough to contain the younger? I'm almost tempted to say, like rampaging Lauren Price, because her if you look at her interviews, her post-fight interviews, if you look at her interviewed, I mean, they did a gloves are off thing. She comes across as being supremely confident, like this is my time. Yeah. And Natasha, the wily old veteran, who, I mean, against Maya and in her last fight against Ivana Habazin, who was a level below Natasha. I mean, Natasha kind of dominated pretty much. I don't know whether she whitewashed her or maybe the other girl won 1 or 2 rounds, but it was one-way traffic. But if you look at the Maya fight, which was just over a year ago, it was very early 2024, Natasha was, first of all, she was beginning to look a bit like she was slowing up a little bit, not quite what she was. But also the size. I mean, even though she's been up as far as super welterweight and has now dropped down to welterweight, she's very sort of bottom heavy. Don't be rude about the lady, but she's got that sort of really tough planted foundation, and she's crafty, very crafty. But with Lauren Price, you look at her and you think this isn't a girl who has sort of come up from super feather, which is where Natasha began her career. This is a girl who is an absolute full-blooded welterweight. I mean, in her 4th fight, Lauren won the British welterweight title, which I think that was the first ever female British title fight. She beat Kirsty Babington, and I think whitewashed her. So she's been under the lights, in some of those boxer shows. She had a very good win against an underrated fighter called Alita Musea, who came in with 18 wins and one defeat. And I've seen Musea quite a bit, and she's a good fighter. And that was another technical decision. It's 6 rounds, but she beat Musea, I think, easily. Controlled her easily and just dominated. She's a very, very good boxer. And when women's boxing in its current incarnation took off, the biggest compliment initially that you could give a female fighter, I remember this vividly, it was she fights like a man. Stylistically, her schooling, now we've got quite a few women here that the gene pool is deepening. We've got quite a few female fighters who look like proper well-schooled fighters, just like their male counterparts. And Lauren, you can tell she's been fighting since she was a girl. And you can tell she's extremely confident, extremely composed in the ring without lacking any kind of urgency. She comes from Newport, Wales, of course, so she's Welsh. My mother is actually Welsh, so I'm a little bit. Am I going to be biased about this? Nah, perish the thought. But yeah, she's Wales is due a world champ, I think. They haven't had one for a little while, have they? So I think Lauren has got a good chance of upsetting Natasha. But if this was a 12-3s or even a 10-3s, I would say that Natasha would have the opportunity. She'd have the time to control Lauren, to put her back in her box, to frustrate her, to sort of pot shot with counters, to move around a bit, to sort of, I would say, diffuse the bomb. But because it's 10-2s, I just think that the 10-2s thing suits certain styles far more than it suits other styles. And Lauren is a fast starter, very good skills, big, strong welterweight. I get the feeling that this might be like a changing of the guard. I mean, Natasha is taller, I think by about 3 inches, but she's about 5'8", and I think Lauren's about 5'5". But from the shoulders, from the upper body, Lauren just looks very, very powerful. And I really like the way that she got rid of that kid, that Bexy Mateus, last time out, even though Mateus was way out of her depth. The way Lauren went about her work, and the McCaskill fight, she showed she could, box and fight. I think, if I had to predict this fight, that's the purpose of this video, I would say that I think Lauren will probably win a decision over Natasha. I'll go for sort of 97, 93, 96, 94 certainly, but 97, 93. Is it possible that she could stop Natasha? Because Natasha has been stopped before. I think Natasha will have enough sort of nous and enough experience and wiliness to survive the distance. But I can see Lauren beating her to the punch, landing the heavier shots. I can see Natasha as the fight goes on, it will be a case of Natasha is competitive, but Lauren is just sharper, a bit too young, a little bit too varied, and a bit too busy for Natasha. And I think what we might see is Natasha sort of getting a little bit frustrated and rushing in, and Price catching her as she comes in. Price has got very, very good footwork, very good footwork. I mean, Natasha's well schooled as well, but with Price, I think she's got it within her grasp to become one of female boxing's best champions. And I think she'll pick up the belts. I think she'll win a decision over Natasha. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you disagree, why? Let me know. Comments below and all that stuff. And yeah, what can I tell you? I'm looking forward to reading what you're going to put. It's a good fight. It's on this coming Saturday, and it's at the Royal Albert Hall. Good to see boxing back at the Albert Hall. I used to go back in the 80s with my granddad. Once we sat in a box, they have the boxes at the Royal Albert Hall. It's a great venue because if you're sitting in one of the boxes, you're looking down on the action at the ring. It's fantastic. It's a great venue, so we want more boxing. We want more boxing everywhere, but we especially want more boxing at the Royal Albert Hall because, trust me, it's a brilliant venue. Anyway, comments below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button. And thank you once again for your time. And I'll catch you later. Bye for now.